You're tuned in for your dosage of positivity and motivation. I go by the name Lady T, and I want to welcome you all to Sip of Tea, episode 24. In this episode, we do a follow-up on my healing and growing journey, as well as my health and wellness journey. I want you guys to sit back, relax, and get ready for the tea that's in store.
Let's go. I don't know what you're going through, but we stopped by to tell you that what's in front of you is bigger than what's behind you. Your destiny, your promise, your future. You might as well shout before you get it, because God sent me here to tell you that what he has for you is gonna be big.
I believe
that it's my season.
that it's my season.
You ought to declare that over your own life. Say, I believe
I believe
God's getting ready to move.
God's getting ready to move.
Listen, you ought to declare this over your own life. Say it.
For I know
God,
my God
he's working
is
a miracle
miracle
just for me.
just for me.
And it's gonna be.
And it's gonna be big.
Listen, don't let negativity, doubt, or your haters convince you that God is not about to bless you. It's gonna be.
And it's gonna be big.
What's in front of you is bigger than what's.
Today is Wednesday, June 10th, 2020, and it's been 1 year and 9 days since the meltdown that changed it all. In this episode, I'm going to take you back to the beginning of my health and wellness journey. I'm going to take you back to the morning of Saturday, June 1st, 2019. That day was like a day like today. I woke up, I had my heart ready to record. I had a podcast that I was getting ready to write. Something great was in store. However, to my surprise, life had other plans. My day did not start off how I wanted it to, but I truly believe it started how I needed to. You see, in the weeks prior, I was letting go of a lot, vocalizing a lot of my pain, discomfort, confusion. And just when I thought I had finally gotten a grip, just when I released, most of my feelings in the weeks prior, and I was on my way to move forward with my life, just when I thought I had it, I lost it. I snapped. I actually snapped at my dad that morning. It was honestly just one thing, the straw that happened to break the camel's back. Now, in that moment, in that day, all I really wanted to do was be alone. If I'm honest with you, I cried so many tears that I'm actually surprised I never had a puddle around my feet. Have you ever seen those cartoons? You know, the one where there's that person and they're walking with an umbrella and there's that cloud of rain that continues to follow them? That was how I was feeling that day. But as much as I was crying and as much as I was feeling down in that moment, I knew that one thing was sure. I never wanted to feel like this again. This time last year, I was confused. I was exhausted. I mean, mentally drained and physically deteriorating. I was under so much stress, working 11-hour work days and sometimes 50+ hour work weeks. And on top of that, I was still trying to balance everything in my life as if everything were A-okay. Not to mention, I was also kilometers away from the one person who I believed could understand it all. I was having withdrawals, I was feeling trapped, and I really wasn't enjoying life and myself. Which is why on that day, when I had my meltdown, when I broke down, I vowed to myself that change begins now. I made a promise to myself that I was actually going to fully go through my healing process. And on that day, I embarked on my health and wellness journey. From that day forward, I was going to be more proactive when it came to ensuring that all aspects of my well-being were being taken care of. And I knew that the journey wasn't going to be easy, but I did know that it would be worth it. 1 year later, and I really do think it's been worth it. I wanted to do this special to dive a little deeper into my wellness journey with you. This journey started out because in that moment, I had crumbled. In that moment, I had lost the battle over my mind. However, I had only lost the battle, but the war was far from over. You see, I had allowed my previous thoughts, opinions, and also experiences to have way too much say in my life. I dove into this journey because I wanted to dig deep and find the root of my personal insecurities that caused me to continuously doubt myself and not feel worthy of greatness. That same greatness that's always been preached and spoken to me. I wanted to be able to breathe and actually be calm and feel at peace. I really needed to de-stress and feel the breath of life flowing through my body. What I wanted to do when I started this journey was to really give life to the brightest, most illuminated parts of my energy. This health and wellness journey was started to take back control. So now we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the actual journey itself. The very first thing that I did to start to take back control was I began journaling daily. I mean, from that day, June 1st, I did daily journals all the way back up until this year, February 29th, 2020. And the only reason why I actually stopped was because I ran out of pages in that book. I wanted my daily journal to focus on positive facts, lessons, and key takeaways of my day. The goal with that was to attract the energy that I wanted to see. So I began to really put that positivity into practice. For me growing up, one thing that I could always count on was my journals. Going to Jamaica in my summers, I was sent with journals. I have journals dating so far back of my life and my experiences, and I've been able to look back. When I did this journal, I wanted to look back and focus on the positive of the days prior. I wanted to force myself to change my outlook, and that's what I did. All the way up until February 2020, I did daily journals until, as I said, the pages ran out in my book. Once the pages ran out, I didn't stop there, however. I still continued journaling, but on a much different scope. You see, I wanted to move away from forcing myself to write these positive thoughts daily, and I wanted to actively live these thoughts. So I changed my journal to more of a in the mood, a more natural type of journaling, to actively, accurately record my actual feelings and when I felt the need to journal. So right now I've been journaling on days where I feel as though there has been a much greater shift, or a day that I really need to sit down and reflect because I might not be going down the pathway that is going to support my health and my wellness. Now, journaling was only one thing that I did. It was only one tool that I used on this wellness journey. By journaling, I was able to take care of my mind. I was able to break down the previous negative ideologies and then replace them by rebuilding positive notions that would serve my current self now. So my wellness journey didn't just focus on the mental, I also focused on the physical as well. When I decided that day that I was going to embark on this journey, I decided that if I was going to heal, it was going to be all of me. You see, 3 years ago, I actually got a tonsil infection as a result of being in and out of the water and then back and forth in AC. This tonsil infection caused ear popping, and I don't know, maybe it started with the water, or it could just be that all things in the body are interconnected. But over the past few years, I've also developed a neck strain that has led to upper back and shoulder pain and the pain honestly just continued to gradually become worse. What I later realized was that I had very poor form when I was lifting in the gym. So everything I told you prior, plus the poor form over a long period of time, and then adding in the fact that my previous job required me to be driving different vehicles at various times of the day, so I didn't actually get an opportunity to really set my posture in the greatest form. All of these things coupled together further enhanced my pain. So, not only was I going through the motions, I was also having all of this physical pain. And not to mention, on top of that, I was really stressed out. And I don't think a lot of people understand or know this, but prolonged stress actually puts your body in a continuous state of readiness for physical action. So in the times where I thought I was actually resting, my body was still tight, my body was still tense. And when I would wake up or when I would get up after thinking I was resting, I actually wasn't. My body was not rejuvenating and it wasn't healing how it should have been. Because of all of this pain, I actually had to stop doing one of the things I loved the most. I had to cut out hitting the gym and lifting. I remember going to the doctors complaining. No one could actually tell me what was wrong. Remember I said 3 years ago this all started? It wasn't up until the beginning of this year that they told me I had tendonitis in my shoulder. Imagine if we had come to that conclusion prior. So, when I went to physio, they told me I can't lift. I cannot put a squat rack on my shoulders. I can't do anything that's going to be considered lifting or exercise for a while, not even to stretch using a 5-pound, because I might be agitating and aggravating the area more. And honestly, I was devastated because physical activity for me was one of the greatest forms of release. So I actually went about 8 months without one of my favorite forms of releases. But luckily, in June 2019, when everything seemed to be crashing, an opportunity to gain that physical release presented itself. The opportunity came to play flag football with some girls that I played with in high school. And honestly, I could not turn it down. And I'm so glad that I didn't. I couldn't lift. I couldn't use weights. So here was that opportunity for me to get back in shape. Another way to take back that control. Another way to rebuild my body and to make sure that it was also doing well. So I started playing football with the girls, and honestly, it felt as though my spirits had been lifted. I felt my body beginning to thank me again. And in this time, I still kept on journaling and focusing daily on putting positivity at the forefront of my life. You see, healthy mind, body, and soul was my ultimate goal. That was the goal for me, to vibrate higher into the woman that I knew I could be. From football, I slowly started to regain my strength. I was also doing research on the areas of my pain, and I began stretching almost all the time. When something felt good, I leaned into it and I took a deep breath. And I'd often zone out with my friends, in my own bliss, in my own moment, in my own calm, feeling good. I'm just gonna actually stop really quickly and say thank you to my friends who never once looked at me funny or pointed me out when I would stop to randomly stretch in whatever position I felt like stretching in, just to feel good, because they understood the pain I was in, and they too were supporting this health and wellness journey. The stretching was working, the tension was slowly starting to go away. My body was breathing, it was realigning, and I began to actually feel empowered. I was able to get back into the gym. I gradually began lifting again, getting back to my old PRs and also setting new records for myself. Once the gym closed, I knew that I had to find an alternative to keep this energy flowing. I really didn't want my muscles to tighten back up, could not be bothered with the joint pain. I knew I needed to find that alternative. And once again, the opportunity found me. I've done yoga before, I've done stretching, but this opportunity to further my growth actually found me. A 30-day yoga challenge, focusing on breathing and relaxing and the calm and peace. And I actually believe that this might be the final phase of this set of healing. Now, I wouldn't be transparent with you guys if I didn't speak about the most difficult part of my healing journey. The part that I always try to avoid, the one that I very rarely want to address. Emotional healing and emotional wellness. For as long as I can remember, I've never really liked to be alone, and I've actually felt as though I've had some dependency issues just because of my overall fear of physically being alone. And I believe that honestly, that fear of being alone and always wanting to, be in the company of people made me not really enjoy, my own presence. It made it much more difficult because I had a hard time just being alone. While unpacking my burden backpack, which is something that we spoke about in the Healing and Growing episode, I realized that one big issue is that I neglect myself. I was failing to love myself, failing to trust myself, failing to embrace me for me. I felt lost many of the times because I never truly had a grip for me and all I could be. For years, I had been subject to feeling less than or being told that, my light was too bright and that I needed to dim myself. Or I felt insecure in my circles because I seemed to have so much more going on at that current point in time than others. And I never for once wanted to overpower everyone else. I wanted people to feel included. What happened, however, is that I allowed those notions to penetrate my mind and confuse me. Confuse me to the point where I really didn't know myself. I'm a bubbly person. I love to enjoy life. I talk a lot, sometimes too much, sometimes too fast, but I had found myself being quiet. I had found myself shying away from me, possibly because I shied away from myself, probably because I allowed outside noise and outside opinions to disturb my internal frequency. I didn't really know who I was. I didn't really know Tiana. I only really knew Lady T. I hid behind the name that I was creating for myself, neglected taking care of Tiana, and just focused on Lady T's greater. I am supposed to be my number one fan, but I was faking it. Instead, I was my number one doubter and my number one hater, and this needed to change. I've been soul searching, I've been reflecting, and I've been doing the things that scare me. Little by little, I have begun to slowly start trusting myself again. Slowly, I'm learning to be my number one fan, to be my number one confidant, to be my number one supporter. I've gotten to this point in life where, as I said, the outside noise should not disrupt the frequencies that are being generated on the inside. Right now, at this stage on the wellness journey, I've really been focusing on bringing out me, refinding myself. And every time that I think I found her, I notice something else. What I've been doing to uplift myself is taking that time to know me, taking time to bring out the traits that I want to see, and then also recreating those that need to be modified to serve me now. A year ago, I could have allowed my life and my circumstances to really consume me. I cried, I drowned myself in my own tears, but I'm glad that I picked myself up and decided not to be a victim of the cards that I was dealt. On June 1st, 2019, I vowed that I would not allow the past to control my destiny. I vowed to continue on the healing journey no matter how hard it was gonna be. That day, I was broken down lower than I've ever been, but honestly, that moment has helped to build me up stronger than I could have ever expected. I can honestly say that day has changed me. This journey has changed me. There are times where I'm still nervous. However, I am definitely more confident. I am for sure more in tune with myself, and I'm holding myself accountable to this lifelong journey of health, wellness, healing, and growing. Each phase of life will present its own challenges. They will have their own setbacks, and they will have their own roadblocks, trying to bring you back to the person you work so hard to leave. In those times, stop and look back at how far you've come. Congratulate yourself for your progress. Reevaluate, but never give up. The change won't be tomorrow, but keep chiseling away at it day by day. I hope you enjoyed my update on my health and wellness / healing and growing journey. It's lifelong, and I promised myself that I'm going to keep at it. And if you're on a journey similar to this one, you should too. Greatness in your new you awaits. If you want to keep this conversation going, don't hesitate to reach out to me. All you really have to do is search #SipOfTea. And trust me, you'll find me. I'll also be attaching a link in the description that I found that might be useful for breaking down the stages to emotional and mental healing. And also remember to take care of your physical too. Don't wait until it's too late. A couple more things before I go. I found 3 very inspirational days from my journal that I wanted to share with you. And I'm going to start with July 31st. So coming up onto 2 months of the health and wellness journey. The title for this day was, Why Do We Do This? Why do we do this? To settle for nothing less than the best. To build our foundation, to pave a way for our future, our legacy. To be change makers and innovate new ways to this life. To be in a position to really feed the team, understanding that everybody's gotta eat. To be the hope of the community. To live in a world where dreams really do come true. That's why we fight. That's why the dream will never die. There is too much at stake not to stay focused in this race. Now Friday, August 16th. Life like a kaleidoscope lens. On this date, we're about 5 days into the trip to Ghana, and I think this is when I really realized that liberation was coming. Reflective vision, that's always been me. Open my eyes and let me see. I want to see what the world has to offer, to know more than they show me, to paint different pictures, understand other outlooks, change the perception of the mind. Everyone's opinion is valid at some point in time. Help me to see your light and the many ways it can illuminate my world. And the last one that I'll leave you with was written on Thursday, November 28th, and it's called Crack, Crack, Crack. I decided to take it a little easy today. Peace of mind by controlling work on an easier breath. A little Netflix, a little work, a little laughter, and a little smirk. I got what I needed done, and my body has been thanking me. Crack, 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 crack. Now, that is all for this episode of Sip of Tea. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. All the information will be in the description below. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. This is your girl, Lady T, and I'm tuning out until the next time.